Steve Jeffries.
Okay, hello.
And I'm Mark Walton.
Hello.
Are you for or against the idea of firefighters retiring when they're 60?
Quite strongly against.
Yeah, again.
Yeah,
Why?
and I've got reasons for that. Well, there are times when we have to put ourselves into situations which are very dangerous. Okay, obviously going into burning buildings, and to do that you need to be young, strong, physically fit. And I think that the older you get, the obviously the less fit you become, the weaker you become, and your ability to protect yourself when you're in these situations, and also to protect the public. You're paying your taxes to have an efficient fire service that you might only ever have to call on once in your lifetime, but when you call on them, you want them to be strong, fit, and to be able to rescue you, your family, your friends. And we think if you make firefighters work until the age of 60, they're not going to be as efficient as somebody who's a lot younger and stronger.
What age would you like to retire at?
I've got to be happy to go now. But seriously, no, I mean, between 50 and 55 is what the rules that we joined under, and that's what we...
Yeah. And there's a reason why firefighters are able to retire younger. The reason that we were able to retire early is because we put a lot more money into our pension than other people. We're the biggest contributors into a pension of all the public services. Currently now, I put in £320 every single month out of my wages, and that works out, it's about 13% I think at the moment. It's 13.1%.
Which is,
we put in.
It's almost double what most of the public sector.
That is so we can retire early, that's all. So we have less money to spend each month out of our wages because we're being conscientious and putting away all this money so that we can retire early, because we won't be able to do our jobs as efficiently when we get beyond the age of 55.
What is the most dangerous situation you've ever been in?
It's in building fires. We have to go into buildings that are on fire. And we've both been in it, and you just, when you come into work, you just never know what's going to happen, when that's going to be, and a lot of times we have to do it in the early hours of the morning, and we're out there, we don't know how intense the fire is when we go in. I'm sure you're no doubt aware that one of our colleagues was killed just in the summer. There was a fire on Oldham Street in Manchester, and it was just like any other job really. We turn up, it's a building fire, you know, and there's, depending on what, if it's a house or a business, there's going to be certain things that are combustible, you know, relating to what that business is, and this was like a hair products thing, so there's lots of chemicals in there, and there was a high fire loading, and our colleague just turned up for work as normal, but he went in there, and he was a young, strong guy, okay, and the conditions got too hot, you know, or too intense for him and his partner that was in there, and they got confused and got lost. One of them made it out, one of them didn't. We believe that as people get older, you know, they're gonna, you know, we'll be putting ourselves much more at risk, and also the public are going to be much more at risk, because we're not going to be able to do our jobs as efficiently as, you know, younger people.
You don't really realise how dangerous it might be until you're sort of in there.
What do you feel when you go into the burning buildings?
Oh.
Right.
And we're taught to recognise the signs and symptoms of any kind of fire. Look at the smoke, look at the heat, look what's happening, and we can assess as to whether we can make further progression into the fire, okay, or maybe if it's getting too bad that we might have to withdraw. But when you go in, you can't see a thing. It's absolutely, you've got to feel your way through, you know, you've got to put your hand in front of your face so you're not going to bank into anything. Use your feet by skimming it across the floor, because you don't want to be falling down any steps or down any holes.
Is there anyone here that is over 60?
I think the oldest guy on our watch is Brian. He's due to retire, and he is approaching 55, isn't he?
Only about 6 or 7 years ago where you had to retire when you're 55, even if you wanted to stay on, they didn't let you.
Yeah, they didn't let you because they said you're too old and you're not going to be capable of doing your job. So that was their stance initially. But now they're thinking, oh, I don't think we can afford to pay all these pensions. So all of a sudden they're saying, oh yes, you are fit enough to do it. They've commissioned some doctor, Dr. Williams.
I forget what his name is.
He did a report which said that firefighters aren't fit enough to do the job, but the government still aren't listening.